Hey there, this is Tom Crandall from Gear Masters, and behind me here we have the Rogue RM3. That's a Monster Series rack, and it's Rogue's top of the line rack as far as the RM series. It's just a super nice rack. So to begin with, it's 3x3, so that means 3 inches by 3 inch posts. It's 49 inches from the outside to the outside, and then 43 inches inside the cage. And then you have an option to go as far as width inside the cage. You can go with 24 inches or 30 inches, and I think even 43 inches. I'm not sure if the RM3 does 43. I know they do the 24 and the 30. And so anyway, this is a 30-inch inside here. It has the 1-inch holes. It has the numbering is all the way through, and they have numbering on both the front and the back of the posts. And then on the side of the post, they have what's called the keyholes. And so Rogue makes certain accessories that utilize the keyholes to, I guess, hold things in a little bit better. And then you have a bunch of different options on J-cups. So you have like just a standard cheapo J-cup, and then you have a 1-inch one with 1-inch UHMW, and then 2-inch one, and then I'm not sure the other one. My suggestion is if you're going to get the RM3, look for on Rogue's site for a rolling J-cup rather than just the standard static ones. The rolling ones are really great if you're benching. So like if you want to just sort of adjust the bar, having a J-cup that has rollers on it just makes it a lot easier. I had the Eleiko Prestera rack, and it had the sliding J-cups, but one of the cool features of that is that it had the rollers on the J-cup. So it's just easier to just position the bar when I was benching. And even like when I was doing military press, stuff like that, just made a lot more sense. With the 1-inch hole spacing, obviously and the 3x3, everything that you're gonna get for this rack is gonna be beefier than if you were to purchase the 5/8-inch hole spacing and maybe like the 2x3 or even the 3x3 rack. The accessories just aren't gonna be as beefy. So if you like beefy accessories, that's another reason to go with the Monster series. The powder coating on here is really nice. They don't powder coat inside here. So this is 11 gauge steel, so that's plenty thick. It's just really nice. As far as anchoring the rack itself, so you can anchor the rack. Rogue suggests anchoring it, but realistically, I've never had an issue. I have weights on here on their Monster weight pegs, which, by the way, Rogue makes the best weight pegs in the industry, I think, by far. These things are just awesome, really nice. They have UHMW on them, I believe, and it just sliding the weights on off them is just really cool. And I'm not sure the lengths there. It's either like 8 inches or 10 inches for the bigger ones. The weight pegs, they do make keyless ones or keyed ones. When I ordered them, I ended up just going with the ones without keys because I didn't think I needed those. And also, if I ever wanted to sell them, most people probably didn't have racks that had keys anyway. And I don't think it makes really a big difference. As far as putting the rack together, so you essentially have 4 bolts on the uprights here on each side, and same thing here, 4 bolts on each side. So it's super easy to put together. And then the accessories like the pull-up bar here has 4 bolts, and then the name tag in the back here also has 4 bolts. The bolts are actually quite expensive. It's like $40 for 4 of them. So for me, I actually originally ordered the FM6 or FM3. It was basically the functional trainer. It was like the RM6 with the functional trainer aspect. And I had made that order, and then this popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, oh man. And I got a great deal. I got it for $950. So this rack retails for $1,600 plus, and I got it for $950. And I also got 2 extra 90-inch posts. So I was like, oh man, all right. So I pulled the trigger on that. and canceled my Rogue order, but I still wanted the functional trainer because I was sitting downstairs and my wife came up to me and she's like, hey, what do you think about the Rogue functional trainer? And I'm like, wait, you want to get a functional trainer? Rogue functional trainer? And she's like, yeah, I'd like to do the X. I'm like, all right, it's go time. So anyway, I had to decide, all right, so how do I turn this into a functional trainer? So what I'm doing is I'm adding some cross members. I need to get 4 24-inch cross members, and I already have the posts. So that will convert this into an RM6, and then I just add the functional trainer to it, and then I'll have my functional trainer. And so what's cool about that is the 30 inches here will be inside the cage on the functional trainer, and then the back 24 inches is for the weight stack, stuff like that. So I won't really be able to use much there. And then on the outside here, I'll have the trolley for doing cable rows or cable crosses, stuff like that on the outside. And then on the inside, I'll probably have my J cups and like maybe do squats, bench, things like that on the inside of the cage. All in all though, I think this is pretty awesome setup. So getting back to the 3x3. So I went originally, my first half rack was from Oak Club Manufacturing, and it was an awesome rack. They make great stuff. They overbuild their stuff as well. And I would say they even do a better job than Rogue as far as overbuilding. Like their, is it James J Cup is just massive. Yeah, their stuff is really high quality, and they're in Canada. And then I ended up selling that because I wanted a different rack for whatever reason, and I ended up going with Eleiko, and this was during COVID, and so it was hard finding racks, and Eleiko was local to where I am, and so ended up going with them. And I just ran into some problems. Nothing wrong with the rack functioned fine, but just some issues that if I wanted to go forward with doing reviews and things like that, the Prestera rack just wasn't going to work for me. One of the issues was it was 70 millimeters by 70 millimeters, and realistically, no one's making 70 mil by 70 mil accessories. They're making 3x3 or 2x3. They're just not making accessories for Eleiko. So I had to rely on Eleiko coming out with stuff. And they do come out with things. Their stuff tends to be a little bit more expensive than a lot of other manufacturers. So that was an issue. The other issue is that, I don't know, I just felt like the rack just didn't feel beefy. They used to make a 3x3 rack. And when I went to their showroom before the Prestera was out, or no, actually, I guess they just launched the Prestera, and they had their 3x3 rack and then Prestera next to it. And the Prestera was sort of a letdown. It just didn't look as beefy. It looked smaller. I don't know. Anyway, so that was the issue. Sold that and found this, and I just love this. I know Brandon's basement, he had a nice white and black rack, and I always liked it from Rogue. And so I wanted to do the same thing, get a nice white and black rack. And so that's what I'm going to have in another like four days. I'll have the functional trainer. It'll probably take me a week to get it all set up. But yeah, so this is it. Now, before I decided to get this, it was really a battle. I have a Fringe Sport is local, and they have the Dane 2.0, which is a nice rack, and it would have been a functional trainer, sort of like this. And then Rep Fitness has an Aries 2.0, and they have the PR 5000, which is essentially the same thing here. It's like a Monster Series, basically, with 1-inch hole spacing. Now, their racks are 75 millimeters by 75 millimeters. So I thought that maybe I'd run into an issue at some point with some accessories that would work on here that may be a little bit sloppy on the rep rack. So it was tough. And the other thing is Rogue's racks are more expensive than Rep's racks. Rogue's racks are made in the US. Rep's are made somewhere else in Asia. It's a tough one. Rep is doing a lot of cool things with their stuff. They're coming out with some great benches. They're coming out with some cool things that integrate with the racks. Rogue tends to be a little bit slower on that aspect, but Rogue will always sell better on Facebook Marketplace than Rep. It just name recognition, whatever. I put something that is Rogue on Facebook Marketplace, it sells. If I put something Eleiko, it took forever to sell. Rep, I don't really have anything from Rep right now, so I'm not sure. But yeah, love this rack. And so we'll see in the future if I decide to go with a different rack. I don't think so. I think the rack that I'm gonna have for a long time. And I'm looking forward to having that functional trainer aspect, because that's one thing that I haven't been going to a regular gym, just my garage. And so having the ability to do lat pull downs and rows and things like that on a rack is going to be awesome. And I'll have to thank my wife for that. So yeah. Anyway, if you got any questions, yeah, definitely give me a shout and I'll try to answer them. But yeah, hopefully if you go Rogue, you'll love the rack. I'm sure you will. And if you decide to go Rep or French Sport, I'm sure you'll like their racks. They all have really good reviews. I will say that with Rogue, the cable system, from all the reviews I've read, people love the cable system. The trolley aspect maybe is a little bit heavier, but the cables tend to run really smooth on the Rogue racks versus some of the other racks where I've seen some comments about cables twisting, things like that. I don't think I'm gonna have an issue with this. So if you got the room and you want something beefy, definitely go Rogue. If you don't have the money, there's a lot of other companies that make pretty good functional trainers as well. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Take care.